Greetings everyone, my name is Interville and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Rock Force. In the last part, I defeated Terrorman and Plagueman, and now time to take on the last two fusion robot masters. In this case, we're starting out with Power Man, the fusion of Circuit Man and Shock Man, which is kind of ironic, similar to Plagueman himself, as Shock Man is weak to the Circuit Breaker, which is Circuit Man's special weapon. Oh well. Although of course this is kind of justified by the fact that fusing them change their weaknesses and strengths. Over here we have these outlets which fire electrical pulses. They start off from the green ones and end at the oranges ones. On normal mode they travel a bit slower. On hard mode the main difference is that they travel faster and are a bit more damaging. And funny enough, if you hit them with the pulse stopper or a certain other weapon, they actually make a damage noise, which is a bit odd to say the least. Also, the bacteriophages or viruses make a return from Virus Man's stage as well as Plague Man's stage. Though, funny enough, they're more dangerous than Plague Man's stage, even though Plague Man is basically Virus Man, half of him. Here, it's more dangerous because of the addition of these conveyor belts as well as spike balls, which means that if you get hit by them while jumping, especially over the bottom's pits, it's almost always lethal unless you can time your controller flip. That's why you should be really careful while traversing here, either by using explosive weapons to take them out in one hit, something like the Circuit Breaker, or better yet the Phantom Fuse, or basically go or basically use things like a photon flare, which kills off all enemies on screen at once, which is really effective against these one-hit enemies, as I said earlier. Really, the only difference is the hard mode makes on the stage is that there are spike balls, the enemies are more aggressive, and the stage hazards are much more intense. And be careful while making these jumps between pillars. I can't tell you how many times I fell into a pit because I hit my head against the roof. Also, here's the Big Eye ripoff. Although now, because I have the Circuit Breaker, you can hit them twice for the explosion, so they get one hit killed, which is pretty funny considering how difficult Big Eyes were in the original game, as well as the D's are to take out. And those enemies make a return from Elecman stage from Mega Man 1. It's annoying as usual. Even though they're quite annoying, the most dangerous part of this section isn't even them. It's actually the shield attackers, combined with these electrical pulses. But other than that, it shouldn't be too hard to traverse through. To get that extra life, you need to use a combination of Rush Coil as well as the Phantom, as well as the Crypt Coil. And after Man rushes in and gives us a free E-tank. Pretty nice. I do like how the Rock Force is now included into all the 4 Fusion Robot Master stages as well as the final one. It gives a nice touch to show that they're actually trying to help us. Here are the snake platforms. As we saw on the left, they slowly, part of it will fall to the ground while others will rise up. What makes it dangerous is that the green bar where there is instant death, as well as this addition of spikes because of hard mode. What complicates matters even further are the fact those bug-like robots at the top, where if they reach the same horizontal position as you, they'll fire a spread of 8 pellets in all different directions. And therefore I suggest you use something like a pulse stopper, as it'll absorb the shots while you're holding it. Also another DV section. For this first part you can just walk past it pretty easily, but I decided to slide to be careful. Over here I decided to use a charade clone, as sometimes it's quite finicky to get through this area. I died 4 or 5 so times here because of that. More so over here. Though, as I later learned in next testing, you can actually just run it and hold down the right key or right button and you can rush through it pretty easily. Here's where the snake-like platforms get more devious. This time it's going in reverse instead of forward. So to be safer, I decided to just use the charade clone so I wouldn't get killed. Jump, and boom. That's what I was talking about when I wanted to be a bit safer, as sometimes if you're caught while one of the platforms are falling, you'll be jostling to the ground, which would kill you. but other than that, it isn't too bad. And now time for the Shockman inspired part of the stage. Now we have those shock jumpers from before, as well as these electrical sparks. And those electrical outlet enemies are still there, as usual. Really, the most ideal section are make sure not to get hit by these, as they do a ton of damage. Those being those electrical pulses. But otherwise, if you pace yourself well, it shouldn't be too bad. I would say that this stage is, well, the third hardest out of the 4 Fusion Robot Masters, but once you get the hang of it, it isn't too bad. Power Man himself isn't too bad either, to be fair. Really though, there's no really gotcha modes at this stage. Everything is formulaic at this stage, and as long as you pay careful attention, it should be too bad. If you go through it at least once, next few times it shouldn't be as bad, as there's no gotcha moments from hidden enemies off screen. Those spikes in the final conveyor belt sections here can be quite hazardous. Also, I forgot to mention, but the music for the stage is quite great. Kevin P did a very good job in terms of the mechanical feel of this stage. It's not my favorite theme of the game, that'll be coming up near the end, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. And now we're going on to the boss door. Before that, I decided to restock my health by using Eddie. I still find it funny that, well, not really funny, but Eddie's reliability depends on what difficulty setting you're set to. Stage difficulty, that is. Anyways, time to go after Power Man. And there's Power Man, who's basically like a souped up version of Shockman from the intro stage. He basically has 3 forms of attacks in addition to the one he just showed. He randomly picked one of those 3 hazards on the parts of the screen. The first one he showed is when that upper turret tries to lock onto your horizontal position and fires a death beam at you, which is very damaging. The second one, which he also showed, is when he fires that floor-mounted spike conveyor or something. So be careful not to get hit by it, just jump over it, and you should be fine. The last one is the turret on the right, which fires which fires 5 or 6 pellets before he switches his modes. To hit him, basically you need to reflect your shots off of these devices, as shown here. And he's down. He's basically a much harder version of the first Shockman fight in the intro stage. But once you get a hang of reflecting shots, it isn't too bad. In fact, most Robot Master special weapons, except his weakness and probably the photon flare, can't reach. But other than that, he's down. Personally, the Power Man boss is one of the easiest. I would say is the second easiest to fight out of the 4 fusion. And now, time to go after Flare Man, the fusion of Photon Man and Charade Man. Oh boy. Photon Man and Charade Man. Both of them were basically one of the hardest stages for me to go through, both Circuit Man being. And mainly Charade Man, as well as Photon Man because of all these excellent hazards. One of the main hazards added to the stage are these tackle fires getting shot up and falling in the sky. You have to be really careful as you can get nicked by them and killed in one hit. Not really killed in one hit, but knocked into a pit. So be really cautious about that. And even if you use things like a Crypt Cloak, they'll still keep falling from the sky and from the ground, so it doesn't really work out. Also, when you travel over those boilers, after a short delay, they'll release fire, as shown here. The speed at which it gets released at is depending on the difficulty. And these suns make a return. But really, the hardest part of the stage is yet to come. Well, it's right over here now. Oh, the first part. Now we have a return of Photon Man's devious enemy over here. And now to combine with the final part of a Fuse Man's stage, with all those explosive rockets coming from the top. Really, the most hazardous those enemies at the top firing these bombs, as you can get nicked by them quite easily. The rockets are rather formulaic, but those enemies can be taken quite easily by just using the photon flare, or just using the Crypt Cloak to hide from those And here's Bomb Man. He's going to open up the pad here. In the next video, I'll show some other funny moments of what you can do with the enemy. Here's a volcano enemy. It fires quite fast. It first fires up, and then the tackle fire will fall at your current horizontal position. Be pretty brisk, and you should be able to get through. Time for the hardest part of the stage. Mainly due to the tackle fires themselves, and it's not really due to the other enemies, or the collapsing floors, or even the turrets, or these eyes. It's really the tackle fire, as they could quite easily nick you, as so happened a lot in this following section. Because even using Crypt Cloak won't really help as much. This is the section I was talking about. If you're not careful while making a jump, you can get nicked by those tackle fires, and because of this low ceiling, you'll fall into the pit, which is instant death. I decided to take this upper route so I can get that E-tank. Pretty nice. And from the rest of here is relatively smooth sailing. Flare Man himself is a completely understory, but we'll get to him pretty soon. Oh, we'll see. Although here's these time bombs, once again from Fuse Man's stage. Of course here they're actually less dangerous as they block less of your path. Really though, the most annoying enemy other than tackle fires would be these flowers, but that's mainly due to the petals. Of course that can be easily rectified by using the Pulse Stopper. Here we need to jump on top of these time bombs, so avoid these rockets that we get above. There's an E-tank on the left side of the screen. To get it, you can either just jump over there, be risk, or as I like to do, jump a ladder, jump off, jump over the rocket, use the shock gauntlet, and you go. Poor shock gauntlet. I don't really use it much in the game, that much, other than for collecting items, so I've decided to show it off a little bit more over here. Mainly because there are better ways of taking out these enemies faster. Let's take out these dynamite wielding apes, and we're all set. Now we're coming up onto Flare Man, who ruined about 10 or 20 different of these stage runs, mainly because of how, well, basically Flare Man is basically Guts Man to the extreme. Oh boy. Every time he jumps or stomps the ground, or does that move, he basically causes the ground to shake. And unlike Guts Man, it seems like the duration for when the ground will shake is much longer. So you can get cornered quite easily. And because of the shape of this room, you can get cornered to the left side also pretty easily. Basically, every time he stomps, he'll send you the opposite direction of what you're standing. So if you're just trying to run away from him, he stomps the ground, you'll get knocked towards him. If you're pointing towards him while he's stomping, you'll get launched away from him. So he does high jumps, slow jumps. He can do a spread of these 4 explosives. He can stomp the ground and fire those shockwaves to the direction he's kicking. And of course he can do this Mega Stomp maneuver, which does heavy damage directly left and right of him. The key to fighting him is basically mastering his movements, and always jumping just before he falls. Afterwards, he's actually still quite difficult because of him inheriting Charade Man's RNG. But after that, he isn't too bad. Isn't too bad, but really he's the hardest out of the 4 fusion world masters. Anyways, by defeating them all, all the 4 fusion world masters combined to form the last fusion world, Death Man, which I'll be taking on the next part. Thanks for watching, viewers, and have a nice day. Toodles!